Wrap up lunch. I would now like, if we all could please, thank you. Thank you. I would like to welcome Mr. N.K. Singh, President, Board of Trustees, Institute of Economic Growth and Chairman, 15th Finance Commission, Minister Lekey Dorji, Minister of Finance, Bhutan, and Mr. Dammu Ravi, Secretary, Economic Affairs, Ministry of External Affairs. I would request Mr. Singh to felicitate the Minister. Over to you, sir.
Shall we start, Minister? Shall I start? Yeah? Yeah. You're okay? Yeah. Good afternoon. At the outset, I thank the Kautiliya Economic Conclave for giving me this honor and privilege to present today the distinguished keynote speaker, His Excellency Minister Lekey Dorji, the Finance Minister of Bhutan. This half-an-hour session will have primarily presentation from the Minister, and then we will have about last 5 minutes for, he will take few questions. Minister Lekey Dorji has a very impressive profile. He worked both in the government and in the private sector. He was a civil servant and then went on to be the corporate executive. He has international experience in the World Bank, ADB as consultant, and also worked in the PricewaterhouseCoopers. Minister Lekey is a seasoned public figure. He was a member of parliament. He was a minister of economic relations for 5 years, from 2013 to 18. And academically, he holds an outstanding profile. He holds degrees in the electrical and telecommunications, supported by the Fulbright and fellowships from UK and US. Well, I have to say something between the relations between India and Bhutan. I take this opportunity to just touch upon it slightly here. The bonds of friendship between the two countries are very well known. They're enduring, time-tested, and the partnership has been growing from strength to strength. While our cultural links and common geography connect us, the economic and financial ties between us also bind us. More interestingly and importantly, the people-to-people contacts and the friendship lies at the heart of our relationship. Our relationship is also marked by high-level exchange of visits. Both our prime ministers have visited each other's countries in this year in particular. Both countries also have very ambitious economic programs, and both countries are changing quite significantly with ambitious plans. While India has the 2047 Viksit Bharat to be a developed country program initiative led by the Prime Minister, Bhutan, after having graduated from the LDC status as last year, has now plans to become a high-income country by 2034. Bhutan also has, in recent times, come out with the 13th five-year plan with ambitious infrastructure programs, including energy, connectivity, digital and fintech connectivity, and they're exploring new frontiers in the emerging technology areas, particularly in the space. His Majesty, the King of Bhutan, shared his vision to develop Gelipu Mindfulness City project recently, And we are going to hear from the Minister the 13th Plan and Beyond of Bhutan's development story. This session will dedicate to this particular plan, and I request the Honorable Minister to make his presentation. Thank you.
Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all today. I would like to thank Shri Dammu, Ravi, Secretary Economic Relations, Ministry of External Affairs, for your kind and generous introduction and chairing this very special plenary session. I am truly humbled and honored to be part of this very important third Kautiliya Economic Conclave. I thank Mr. N.K. Singh, President of the Board of Trustees, and Professor Chetan Garg, Director of the Institute of Economic Growth, for inviting me. I thank the organizers for the excellent arrangements for our stay in New Delhi. My intervention will be a little different from other narratives that we have heard for the Indian era these past 3 days. Mine will be a story of India's closest and friendliest neighbor in the Himalayas. It is a story of what happens when the neighbors collaborate and cooperate together. It is a story of Bhutan's development journey. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, in Bhutan, we fondly refer to India as Jaga Phave Yu, meaning the land of the Buddha. Buddhism originated from the vast plains of India some 2,600 years ago. It is a dream for Bhutanese, particularly the older generation, to visit Bodh Gaya, Rajgir, Nalanda, Varanasi at least once in their lifetime. Every valley, every village, every monastery, and indeed almost every home in Bhutan has a statue of Guru Padmasambhava, the revered mystic teacher from Nalanda University in India, who arrived in Bhutan in 810 AD. Is the picture of Guru Padmasambhava. The tiger's nest in Paro, about which the most visitors in Bhutan will undoubtedly hear, is one of the most sacred pilgrimage sites associated with the Indian sand. Therefore, the relation between Bhutan and India predates modern history, and the engagement between the two nations transcends political borders. For Bhutan, after 100 years of absolute hereditary monarchy, our fourth king, Jigme Singye Wangchuk, the father of modern Bhutan, initiated the drafting of the constitution and forced upon the unwilling people the democracy. Bhutan became a democratic constitutional monarchy in 2008. We are now into the fourth elected government. The father of modern Bhutan, King Jigme Singye Wangchuk, had abdicated his throne at the peak of his popularity in 2000 and at the end of 2006. After years of self-imposed isolation, Bhutan initiated the planned development journey beginning 1961. The first 5-year plan had a modest outlay of 174 million and was fully funded by the Government of India. Today, after 60 years of planned development, Bhutan has made remarkable progress. To name a few, our GDP has grown on average by 7.1% since 1980. Life expectancy has reached over 70 years. Adult literacy rate has reached 71%, and the youth literacy is 98%. Per capita income has crossed over $3,833. Poverty rate has fallen below 12.4%. And we provide free health and free education to all of our citizens. Our national culture and traditions are alive and thriving. We are the world's first carbon-negative country, and more than 72% of the country is still under forest cover. Our development philosophy of gross national happiness, anchored on 4 pillars of environment, sustainable economy, preservation of our unique culture, and good governance, has gained recognition outside our borders. And most notably, Bhutan has graduated from the LDC category in December last year. As Bhutan forges ahead, we dare dream of achieving even better results through the implementation of the 13th five-year plan, framed on a strategic 10-year plan, 2024 to 2034. Bhutan's implementation of five-year plans has received generous support from India, and much like Viksit Bharat 2047, developed India by 2047, Bhutan aims to become a high-income, gross national happiness country by 2034. The milestones and the key features for the strategic 10-year plans are: we want to double our GDP by 2029 from the current $2.6 billion to $5 billion, and quadruple our GDP to $10 billion by 2034. We want to enhance our per capita income to reach $6,174 by 2029 and $12,695 by 2034. The greater focus is on economic development, enhanced health services, and improved quality of education services. For the financial year 2024 to 25, we see a 33% of the annual budget is for the health and education. National adaptation plans, roadmaps for the 7 priority sectors of economy, green taxonomy, sustainable financing frameworks for climate actions are taken very seriously. Strengthening of the private sector through public-private partnerships, enhancing revenue through medium-term revenue strategy, and improving revenue through broad-based taxation measures. Goods and services tax will be introduced in July 2025. Improving the quality of public spending, increasing human capital index from 61% to 71%, increasing GNH index, that's our local index, gross national happiness index. We do the survey every 4 years. And we want to increase that index, happiness index, from 0.781 to 0.85. Enhancing the tax to GDP ratio to 15%, and focusing on public service infrastructure and citizen services. For the 13th five-year plan, our outlay is $512 billion, out of which the contribution from the domestic revenue is $327 billion. I am pleased to report that the Government of India is providing a funding of rupees 100 billion for the 13th plan, including 15 billion for our economic stimulus programs. However, we still have 56 billion fiscal deficit. For economic stability and fiscal prudence, we aim to maintain our fiscal deficit below 3% of the GDP. During the planned period, tourism will be an important economic pillar, together with agriculture. Bhutan will continue to promote high-value, low-impact tourism policy. This is intentional to preserve and promote our rich culture, traditions, and natural biodiversity. Bhutan will strive to achieve tourist arrivals of 300,000 per year. It is noteworthy to inform the plenary here that our Constitution mandates the government to provide free education and free healthcare to all. The earnings from the Sustainable Development Fee goes to provide free health and free education in the country. In Bhutan, more than 50% of the population depend on agriculture. Therefore, in the 13th five-year plan, the objective is to enhance farmers' income, initiate commercial farming, and move from input-based to output-based subsidy through price guarantee mechanisms to increase the sector's contribution from 37 billion to 58 billion. The importance of agriculture was also emphasized in this morning's session on reimagining the role of agriculture in economic growth. Manufacturing, basically cement, ferrosilicon, ferromanganese, and other mineral-based industries play an important role for our economy. Bhutan, as a landlocked, mountainous country, is negatively impacted by climate change. Glaciers in Bhutan are retreating faster than the average Himalayan rate. In spite of being carbon negative, the temperature is rising. Since hydropower is the principal generator of revenue for the country, this phenomenon of climate change is worrisome for Bhutan. Bhutan has prepared and submitted our first national adaptation plan to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, last year, and the estimated cost of US $13.96 billion has been identified for the 7 priority sectors. These are energy, agriculture and livestock, water, human settlements and infrastructure, human health, forest and biodiversity, and disaster risk reduction and climate services. The roadmaps for the 3 sectors of energy, water, and agri-foods have been completed so far. To overcome the climate impacts, Bhutan has recently approved green taxonomy to identify what would qualify for green investment and what would not. Sustainable financing frameworks are being worked out. The World Bank has helped create Bhutan Climate Fund, and climate investments are also being channeled through Bhutan Trust Fund for Environmental Conservation. Bhutan also works closely with the Green Climate Fund and Global Environment Facility for climate mitigation activities. For investments in renewable energy, we also work with European Investment Bank and Asian Development Bank. Although Bhutan absorbs 3 times more carbon than we emit and has many protected areas, we have little to no monetization of our conservation efforts. At the sidelines of the 79th UN General Assembly last month, our Prime Minister, Shri Tobgay, and the leaders of the carbon negative and carbon neutral countries got together to form a group for a united voice in the international forum. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, by 2034, Bhutan aims to achieve a high-income GNH economy with a happy, prosperous, and secure Bhutan anchored firmly on people, progress, and prosperity. Now, beyond the 13th five-year plan, Bhutan will implement 3 major activities. First is economic stimulus plan with the help of the Government of India, hydropower development, and hydropower development has also been principally with the help of Government of India, and the Gelifu Mindfulness City, one the Secretary just mentioned. A time-bound economic stimulus program of 15 billion is to revive our economy post-COVID. ESP schemes will provide concessional lending windows and reinvigoration funds, home ownership schemes, employment schemes, startup schemes, agriculture and livestock, financing, guaranteed pricing mechanisms. Bhutan will harness additional hydropower, the main sector that drives our economy. We will continue to harness hydropower energy through Indo-Bhutan Energy Cooperation, intergovernmental projects. Currently, 2 large projects are in advanced stage of completion. One is 1,200 megawatt Puna Sangchu 1, which is in advanced stage of completion, and the second one is 1,020 megawatt Puna Sangchu 2, the dry run of which has been completed, and we hope to commission this project by the end of this year. And there are also projects with Indian private investments. Tata Power has invested into a Dagachu hydropower project, and they have recently signed agreement to do 600 megawatt Kholongchu power project in the east. Ambani Group has recently been in Bhutan, and they have signed an agreement to do 500 megawatt renewable energy and 770 Chamkarchu project in Shamgang. And many projects are in timeline, and many smaller hydropower projects are being constructed locally. Bhutan will also explore and implement energy mix such as investments in solar, wind, and geothermal. The aim is to achieve a renewable energy of 20,000 megawatt by 2040. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, based on His Majesty the King's vision, Bhutan is working on developing a special administrative region called Gelifu Mindfulness City, GMC, bordering the Indian state of Assam. His Majesty the King himself is the chairman of the board of directors of GMC and the principal champion spearheading the project. Recently, we had a very significant Bhutan Innovation Forum in Paro, where over 650 international participants, thought leaders, Nobel laureates, global influencers, innovators, and investors, and over 800 national participants attended. GMC takes an approach of one country, two systems. The city will be a gateway to South Asia and Southeast Asia, spanning over 2,600 square kilometers, more than 3 times the size of Singapore. It will be a regional hub, and the city will be a hub of human innovation, entrepreneurship, natural ecosystem to thrive together. The city will encompass 2 national parks. Manas National Parks, as you know, is more than half of that is in India, and the other half is in Bhutan. And the other is the Phipsu Wildlife Sanctuary. Of the 2,600 square kilometers, only 20% will be developed, will be the urban side, and the rest will remain green. The city will be pristine, sustainable, and spiritual with 100% renewable energy. It will be the Vajrayana Buddhist capital of the world. The city will be a special administrative region with separate executive, will have its own government, it will have its own judiciary, it will have its own parliament. It will have its own currency called Ter, recently revealed just recently, based on blockchain technology and fully backed up by physical gold. The project is implemented outside the 13th plan, and the announcements have recently been made for the appointments of CEO of the GMC, governor of the GMC, and the board directors of the GMC. I welcome the distinguished participants here to visit Bhutan and GMC and be part of this exciting and visionary journey. To conclude my story, I want to congratulate our closest and the friendliest neighbor for working towards a developed India by 2047. A developed India is good for Bhutan, it's good for the region, and it's good for the world. We in Bhutan will always be rooting for India. During the 79th UN General Assembly this year, our Prime Minister, Dr. Shri called for a permanent seat for India in the UN Security Council as the leader of the Global South. India, as the world's largest democracy, with the highest population and the 5th largest economy by GDP, is poised to become the world's largest economy and a developed country. It is just a matter of time. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Minister Lekey Dorji, for this comprehensive presentation, which is covering quite significantly your 13th plan and ambitious Gelipu Mindfulness City project. But also what comes out of your presentation is India being with Bhutan in this journey, in your development journey. Also now the Indian companies are collaborating in your country very strongly, and interestingly you have a lot of spin on the happiness, prosperity of the people, GDP to be doubled and the per capita to be doubled. All this is a part of your plan, very interesting. I think we'll take one or two questions very quickly before we wrap it up. I let the floor open to the audience if they have anything to ask. So,
thank you for your wonderful presentation. I just wanted some clarification on the renewable energy targets that you've kept, say, for the next 15 years, both on hydropower and on solar power. The specific targets that you may have.
Energy targets and hydropower.
In terms of production capacities.
Energy targets.
Thank you. This energy targets, previously the Energy Hydropower Corporation with India has been one success story. It started sometime in 1974. And that was when we first started the Chuka Hydropower Corporation, 384 megawatt. And since then, we have developed Tala Hydropower Corporation, 1,020 megawatt. Then we started Mangdishu Hydropower Corporation, 720 megawatt. And then two big projects are in pipeline now, which one will be commissioned in, like I said, end of this year. And the Pune Sangchu 1,200 megawatts in advanced stage of completion. Now, in terms of the energy roadmap that I have just stated, in the Bhutan's competitive advantages is in the hydropower. So by roadmap, we have a roadmap to by 2040, we wanted to increase by another 20,000 megawatt. And we have already identified, out of that, about 5,000 megawatt come from the renewable energy, from the solar, wind, and maybe thermal. And then 15,000 of this will come from the hydropower development. So for that, we have already identified which rivers we would be tapping, and all those are in details. So for example, we have, like I mentioned, 770 megawatt Chamkharchu 1. Then we have Kuri Gongri. Then we have 1,125 Dorji Lung, which we are, for which we are looking for a strategic partner, an Indian strategic partner. An equity portion will be put in by the Duke Green Power Hydropower Corporation. So basically about 15,000 megawatt of hydropower and another 5,000 megawatt through the renewable energy. We have, like I said, we have already identified which rivers we are tapping, which projects, like Sunkush, for example, then Dorji Lung and Neri Amari, so many projects that we have already identified, already calculated the 15,000 megawatt of hydropower and 5,000 megawatt of solar. Thank you.
I think we are almost there because the next speaker, the Minister of External Affairs, is already here. So I'll have to excuse us for asking for any other questions. So I'd like to thank the Kautiliya Economic Conclave organizers, and in particular, Dr. N.K. Singh, for giving the opportunity to bring to you all this focused presentation on Bhutan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I request you all to remain seated as the Minister is here and we will begin shortly.